Go into the world and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on the cross.
A Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McLean starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. It's great to be on with you. Praise be to God. Here's the question. Was Pope Francis rushed back to the Vatican a wee bit too soon? Didn't seem all that healthy yesterday, but I assume they're going to be treating him back at the Vatican. There's been talk about setting up, all the oxygen he needs and treatments and all of that from the Santa Marta hotel in which he lives. Okay, great. But why? Well, it was interesting because the Pillar reported about the nuncio deciding for himself to install the Archbishop in Detroit. Now, Pope Francis appointed him and announced it, but he never signed the papal bull. The nuncio was like, well, we couldn't get a hold of him. The guy was in the hospital. So it seems to indicate there's bigger issues there. We're going to have the senior Vatican correspondent Michael Haynes over at LifeSiteNews.com on the team at 14 past the hour to talk about that. Was he rushed back a wee bit too soon? Why did the doctors not give us any indication of the future of Francis's health when they reported the night before they released him? What is in store? What's coming next? That's on the show today. Also, let's have Michael Hichborn from Lepanto on the team because we want to talk about the Hymnal-Industrial Complex. You know those horrible hymns that you sing at your parish? I mean, they're just, all are welcome. Oh, I mean, it's just so bad. The theology is bad. It's just, ugh. But it turns out that those companies are charging your parish tons of cash in licensing fees, holding them hostage unless they pay up every single year for bad theology. Turns out the people behind it are also incredible liberals. And they're pushing for some of the things that are absolutely evil and against what we believe as Catholics, and we're paying top dollar for it. Michael Hichborn is on the team to share that story as well at 30 past the hour. We'll put all of the links for you in the show notes at the top of the hour at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. We've got a lot to get to today. We're going to jump in, but I would be grateful if you'd share us with a friend. Let's pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand sinful and sorrowful, O Mother of the Word incarnate. Despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And now your saint of the day.
Our Lady of the Annunciation, pray for us. On this day, exactly 9 months before the Nativity, the incarnation of our Lord Jesus Christ was announced to the Blessed Virgin Mary by the Archangel Gabriel, beginning with that most beautiful greeting. Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. The celebration of this feast is transferred if March 25th occurs during Holy Week or the Easter octave. But Catholic tradition affirms the importance of this specific date throughout salvation history, as related in the medieval work called The Golden Legend, compiled by Blessed Jacobus de Voragine, Archbishop of Genoa. This blessed Annunciation happened the 25th day of the month of March, on which day happened also, as well tofore as after, these things that hereafter be named. On that same day Adam, the first man, was created, and fell into original sin by inobedience, and was put out of paradise terrestrial. Also that same day of the month Cain slew Abel his brother. Also Melchizedek made offering to God of bread and wine in the presence of Abraham. Also on the same day Abraham offered Isaac his son. And our Lord Jesus Christ was on that day crucified, wheretofore that is a day of great reverence. For more about this day and others in the Church's calendar, visit thestationofthecross.com/saints and seasons. Our Lady of the Annunciation, pray for us.
And now your headline news. Daily Wire reports Trump slaps extra tariffs on all countries that buy oil from Venezuela. President Donald Trump announced yesterday that any nation that purchases oil from Venezuela would be hit with a 25% tariff. Trump wrote on Truth Social that the secondary tariff on Venezuela is in response to the country's purposefully and deceitfully sending violent criminals to the United States. The tariff is set to go into effect on April the 2nd, which Trump has dubbed Liberation Day in America, which is expected to announce large-scale reciprocal tariffs on American trade partners. The Hill reports judge blocks 3 agencies from data to Doge. A federal judge yesterday indefinitely blocked the Department of Government Efficiency's access to troves of sensitive personal data from 3 federal agencies. The U.S. District Judge Deborah Boardman barred the Department of Education, the Department of Treasury, and Office of Personal Management from disclosing the personal identifying information of about 2 million plaintiffs in a lawsuit challenging Doge's access to any of the advisory board's affiliates. And Ground News reports Trump officials accidentally add journalists to Signal chat on Yemen strikes. Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief at The Atlantic, was accidentally included in a group that discusses airstrikes on Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis by officials in Donald Trump's government, including U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The White House confirmed the incident and stated that they are reviewing how an inadvertent number was added to the chain, according to the National Security Council spokesperson Brian Hughes. Why does that never happen? I never get included in those things. Anyway, those are your headline news. The gospel today on this Feast of the Annunciation comes to us from Luke chapter 1, verses 26 through 38. And in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God into a city of Galilee called Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. And the angel, being come in, said unto her, Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Who, having heard, was troubled at his saying, and thought with herself what manner of salutation this should be. And the angel said to her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found grace with God. Behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb, and shalt bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus. He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Most High. And the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of David his father, and he shall reign in the house of Jacob forever. And of his kingdom there shall be no end. And Mary said to the angel, How shall this be done, because I know not man? And the angel answering said to her, The Holy Ghost shall come upon thee, and the power of the Most High shall overshadow thee. And therefore also the Holy which shall be born of thee shall be called the Son of God. And behold, thy cousin Elizabeth, she also hath conceived a son in her old age. And this is the 6th month with her that is called barren, because no word shall be impossible with God. And Mary said, Behold the handmaid of the Lord, be it done unto me according to thy word. And the angel departed from her. The Gospel of the Lord. Laus tibi Christi. Cornelius a Lapide, the great scripture scholar, he would say, the Annunciation, therefore, by Gabriel, and consequently the incarnation of the Word, took place on the 25th of March, as Jake so wonderfully mentioned during the Saint of the Day, on which day, likewise, Christ, after completing the 34th year of his life, was crucified. Many are of opinion that the world was created on the same day, so that it was created by God on the same day on which it was afterwards recreated and restored by Christ in his incarnation and cross. And an extra pro tip here, anytime you sing a hymnal that seems to make you think like you're responsible for creation instead of God, burn the book. Just saying. St. Gregory would say, as says, Gabriel is sent to prepare a chamber worthy of the most pure bridegroom. He is sent to contract espousals between the creature and the creator. Also, St. Bernard says, there is no place in the world of greater dignity than the temple of the virginal womb in which Mary conceived the Son of God, nor in heaven is there any place of higher dignity than the royal throne on which her Son was exalted by Mary. I want you to let that sink in. The burning bush. If the burning bush was holy and Moses had to remove his sandals, how much more the womb of the Blessed Virgin Mary? It goes on, moreover, she was a type, says St. Ambrose, of the Blessed Virgin, who is called Mary, that is the mistress and lady of the sea of this world, that she may lead us through it in safety to the promised land that is in heaven. St. Isidore would say, Mary is by interpretation illuminator or star of the sea, for she brought forth the light of the world, but in the Syrian language, Mary is called Lady, because she brought forth the Lord. She is Theotokos. She is Kekaretomene. She is the most pure virgin. And she said yes to save your soul. That's right. She knew that you needed saving. Mary, did you know? Yes, 100% she knew. She knew that you needed it. She knew that Christ wanted it. And she was happy to become the handmaid of the Lord. And blessed is she among women. For every generation shall call her blessed. Do you? You should. We'll be right back. More is coming.
Did you know you can help evangelize simply by using your cell phone? The Station of the Cross is partnering with iCatholic Mobile, America's only Catholic mobile phone company. When you join iCatholic Mobile, a portion of every dollar will support our programming. Plus, you'll enjoy great service with iCatholic Unlimited 5G data, text, and talk. With iCatholic Mobile, you can stay connected with family and friends while also spreading the truth of Jesus Christ with clarity and charity. Join today at iCatholicMobile.com.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. Hey, coming up at 30 past the hour, Michael Hichborn is on the team from Lepanto Institute, the Hymnal-Industrial Complex. Not only is your parish paying way too much for horrible theology in their hymnals, but also the people behind those hymnals are very, very much progressives that are looking to destroy Holy Mother Church by propping up things like abortion, the Rainbow Coalition, and so much more. Michael Hichborn joins us at 30 past the hour to get into that story, so do join us if you can. But yesterday, as we reported, Pope Francis made his debut. First time we've actually seen him as he rolled out onto the balcony before returning to the Vatican, but he did not look good. And his doctors gave us a prognosis, but we've invited senior Vatican correspondent at LifeSiteNews.com, Michael Haynes, to be on with us to give us the update. Michael, good morning to you. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Joe. Good to be with you.
So one of my first questions is, did he get sent home too soon? He does not look good. He looks weak. He looks like he's struggling to speak at all, hard to breathe, can't raise his hands. What's the story?
I think you've certainly raised a good point, because he was on that balcony on Sunday for under 3 minutes. He was without oxygen for that time. And it was very clear that by the end of that 3 minutes, or maybe 2.5 minutes, he was really struggling to breathe. You could see it was really causing him a lot of physical distress, having to really work to get that breath in. The doctors said on Saturday in their real shock announcement that he'd apparently been asking for a few days to go home. But I don't think the image that we saw on Sunday, that this didn't look particularly like a man who was really eager to get back to go home. I think something which is possibly playing a larger part in his discharge, but which hasn't been noted as much, is the fact that the doctors said they were concerned about him picking up an infection from the hospital. This is, it's quite a common thing in the hospital that there's a possibility of cross-infection between different wards and so on, especially if you have doctors crossing between wards. But it may have been that they were just about happy enough with his condition to send him back to the Vatican, but arguably perhaps more concerned that he would pick up, perhaps there's an infection going around in the hospital at this time. But really, you saw a bruising on his hands. You could see that his when he tried to lift his arms to give a greeting, he seemed to be having a lot of difficulty even to just do that. So he doesn't look particularly strong in any way, shape, or form.
There's been talk or rumors that they have been outfitting the Santa Marta hotel in which he lives with a medical facility so that they can continue to treat him there. Is there any truth to that?
I couldn't speak to that so much. There were some rumors a couple of weeks ago that they were indeed preparing the Santa Marta for his return. Vatican officials, when asked about that at the time, they downplayed it. He's had his little suite there, obviously, for the entirety of his pontificate. Some analysts have noted that, ironically enough, it would be easier for him to receive the medical treatment he needs were he based in the Apostolic Palace, because that was already kitted out for that sort of medical treatment for a pope during the time of Pope John Paul II. But Pope Francis has always enjoyed being amongst people in the Casa Santa Marta. But of course, that now is very much the thing which he is ordered not to do. He's ordered to keep a very small circle around him, not do large events and mingle with people.
The other issue that's become more apparent is his ability to govern now. I mean, Parolin said he's seen him less and less. There's I have to believe, a number of things that they need the Pope to make decisions on, but apparently, with hierarchical or organization, that everybody can do their jobs, I imagine. But I guess it was reported at the Pillar that the papal nuncio installed the bishop in Detroit without a papal bull in place. That seems highly irregular, and he says it's because the Pope has been sick. We can't get access to him. What does that mean for the greater implications of his health and whether or not he is capable of governing? Indeed,
it does raise this interesting question of the new stage of his pontificate, which a lot of his close aides have been talking about. Now, I know with regards to that particular instance you mentioned from the Pillar, they were showing that canonically how it was in order. And also, I think the appointment had been made prior to the Pope's hospitalization. But it will be now a very strange time. I mean, already we saw during his hospitalization that people like Cardinal Arthur Roach, head of the Congregation for Divine Worship, were saying that it's very quiet because they don't have the Pope's normal sort of day-to-day contact. Officials around him have also said it's very quiet. But I think it's very strange that throughout his hospitalization, he only had 3 visits, or at least 3 official visits, from the Cardinal Secretary of State, Pietro Parolin, which is peculiar because the governance must continue. Now, we've seen that Pope Francis is keen to continue with his passion projects, if you like, and I think it's arguably fair to say that one of his main passion projects is the Synod on Synodality. So that got the 3-year extension from the hospital. So whether or not we see a sort of a paring back, if you like, in his activity, interspersed with occasional green lighting of large, notable events like that, I think that's fairly possible that that's how it's going to be going forward. If his health doesn't get better, and that was the other thing that really caught my attention, was when the doctors gave their press briefing the night before they released him, they didn't mention anything about the future. They just, okay, this is what we did, this is where he's at, but they never said anything about what's coming down the road. Is there any sense from your vantage point about his recovery? Do they think he'll have a decent recovery, can kind of get back to, air quotes here, normal activity? I mean, they didn't mention anything about that. No, you're quite right. They've all the time, even from the beginning of his hospitalization, they've been couching the best possible news as being a return to the Vatican, but they've not really mentioned whether or not there's going to be a return to full mobility or to being able to, say, walk up a flight of stairs very easily. And I don't think that's likely given his long-standing conditions with his lungs. His mobility prior to his hospitalization was already very, very poor over this winter. And this winter particularly so, he had a number of falls. It looks likely that going forward there will be a strong reliance on oxygen for the Pope, whether or not that's all day or parts of the day or perhaps overnight like it has been remains to be seen. But certainly for this 2 months, it looks like he's going to be needing it almost constantly. As we saw on Sunday, he could barely manage those 2.5 minutes without it. And going forward, I think it's quite likely, if he appears at public events, it will be in his wheelchair, very likely with the nasal cannulas to receive oxygen, just to make sure that he is able to get his breath to deliver maybe some short speeches perhaps, and then he'll give it to his aides like he did over Christmas. But he is an 88-year-old man with a number of health conditions, very poor mobility, particularly in the last couple of years now, and with one lung and one partial lung, he's not got the strongest of foundations to fight this infection.
Surely he must be aware of all of the talk of conclave and some of the politicking that goes on amongst the cardinals. Parolin, I think, being the prime candidate there. Fernandez awfully quiet for that, which is interesting to me. But what a morbid thought it must be to return to the Vatican knowing that they're all whispering in the shadows about conclaves. How do you think he's going to take that?
This is the very strange thing about watching a pope in his final days or final years or months, because we know everybody dies, we know we must all face our judgment, and yet also we know there will be another pope. It's hard to say in one sense. I think the fact that his close circle doesn't officially include any cardinals so far is interesting. Of course, there were rumors that Cardinal Gaylanda, his favored canonist, made a visit to the Vatican on a certain day. The Vatican was very swift, interestingly, to say that was completely false. It would be interesting to try and listen to the rumors now to see which cardinals are allowed into that inner circle. It may be that the Pope does shut the doors somewhat, and he has only his secretaries around him in order to prevent any politicking cardinals coming to him seeking to sway his approval to their agenda they'd like to get pushed through, or to try and form a party perhaps in line with his previous agendas or opposed to his previous agendas, depending on how they deem the winds of change to be blowing. We've seen this with the nightly rosaries especially. I think the cardinals being so public, even though every one of them has denied that there's a conclave air going around, I think they all must realize that it's fairly natural when the Pope, especially a Pope of this age, goes into hospital, there is attention given to the conclave, and they will be looking between themselves also.
Still, I bet it's uncomfortable. But anyway, here in America, there's been a lot of comparisons with Joe Biden and his inability to be aware of his surroundings and the heavy use of the auto pen at the White House to govern our country during his presidency. And people are comparing that to Pope Francis right now and wondering whether or not something similar is going on. And I don't know how that works. Do they have a rubber stamp with Pope Francis's name on it? And if so, why didn't they use it on the papal bull? So in other words, who's governing right now in his absence? Who's making decisions? And is there any, how much abuse can we expect in that process? Well,
in one sense, I think it has been moderately quiet while he has been in hospital. There have been some appointments, bishop appointments, but a lot of the work for those would have been done prior to that because it's a process of many weeks and months. So far, I'm personally not so sort of concerned about that possibility happening. It will be interesting to see going forward, depending on what sort of access we have to even view the Pope to try and get an idea of what kind of mental acuity he has. I did notice something interesting on Sunday amidst the talk of this, and how aware is he? Obviously, his doctors and his aides have always said he's very aware, he's in good spirits. But I did notice on Sunday on the balcony, his nurse had to, basically, it seemed like he had to remind the Pope to give the blessing just before they went back inside. Now, maybe the Pope thought they had a little bit longer outside, he wasn't going to give the blessing just yet. Maybe there's a change of plan or something, or maybe he genuinely had completely forgotten the blessing. But I thought that was interesting just to get a gauge on. I think really we'll have to wait and see going forward. It's early days and new stage as well.
He doesn't look good. He does not look healthy. And continue to pray for him to make, as Bishop Athanasius Schneider said yesterday, to clear his conscience before that day comes when he must stand before the judge. Let's all pray for that too. Michael Haynes, Senior Vatican Correspondent, LifeSiteNews.com. So grateful for your time today. Thank you, sir. Appreciate having you on the team. Look forward to having you back soon. We're going to link to Michael's article over at LifeSiteNews.com. The Pope Francis appears frail as he returns to Vatican after 30-day hospital stay. We'll put that in the show notes for you today. Coming up after the break, Michael Hichborn from Lepanto about those juicy hymnals that you pay too much money for. Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain, and here are your headline news. Just the News reports Trump pledges pardon for Devon Archer. President Donald Trump promised to pardon ex-Hunter Biden business partner turned impeachment witness Devon Archer, who he said was targeted by the Biden family. The president pledged to pardon Archer during a meeting at the NCAA Wrestling Championships, a meeting said to have been arranged by a fellow ex-Hunter Biden business partner and impeachment witness, Tony Bobulinski. Trump said Archer was an anti-Biden person because he exposed part of the corruption scandal by his testimony to the House Republican committees, leading to the impeachment probe into former President Joe Biden. Ground News reports South Korea's Hyundai to announce $20 billion U.S. investment. Hyundai plans to invest $20 billion in the United States, including a $5.8 billion steel plant in Louisiana, creating 5,500 jobs. Hyundai CEO Jose Munoz stated that the tariffs incentivize the company's investment, highlighting the importance of localizing and navigating these tariffs. Audi is also considering moving production to the U.S. to avoid tariffs. Seems like Trump's winning that war, isn't it? Anyway, Fox News reports Kansas trooper rescues kidnapped 6-year-old girl. Praise be to God. The Kansas Highway Patrol trooper pulled over an SUV for a traffic violation and discovered that the front seat passenger had a warrant for his arrest from another state for kidnapping a 6-year-old girl just over a month earlier. The trooper spotted the girl that looked like she was around the same age inside the vehicle with the passengers, both men in their 60s. It was also discovered that the driver had a criminal history which included homicide and numerous weapons violations. The trooper, with the help from a local sheriff's deputy, secured both men before safely removing the girl from the vehicle. The girl was identified as the kidnapping victim, who had been with the suspects on the run for over a month. Praise be to God that she is safe. Those are your headline news. You know what's not safe? What's not safe is your parish and their hymnals. Good grief. It's one thing I got to be honest. I don't. Oh, welcome. No, my stomach turns when I hear these songs anymore. But I used to sing them back in the day. But I didn't know to the full extent the story behind these terrible theological disasters that we call hymnals that we pay too much money for until Michael Hichborn's article over at lepantoin.org. We're going to link to it for you today in the show notes. Michael Hichborn joins us this morning to disgust us with the story. Michael, good morning. Thanks for your time.
Rather than discuss the story where I'm disgusting it with you.
You see? Pun intended, sir. Pun intended. Good to have you on the team, man.
I heard. I see you, Joe.
This story is disgusting, to be honest, because, I mean, towards there are many There are many times where I started to slowly awaken while singing some of these hymns, and you're just like, this is a horrible song. Why are we singing this? So banal, so this like not good and theologically troubling. And that was like in the early days. And the more you dive in, the more you learn, right?
Well, you start with the fact that the Catholic Church has a massive treasury of beautiful music going back thousands of years. We have Gregorian chant that goes back to the ancient church. You have polyphony that has developed over the last few centuries, and it's glorious, it's gorgeous, it's marvelous. And that music rises and raises our souls and our hearts and our minds to heaven. But within the last 60 years, what we have been inundated with is worldly music with a worldly message. I mean, when you listen to these translations, even of the Beatitudes, you hear the songs about the blessed are they who hunger and thirst. Theirs is the kingdom of God. Well, listen to the words. They leave off a very key phrase here. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Just because I'm hungry and thirsty doesn't mean that I'm going to inherit heaven. But they want to make a new message. And it goes back to Arius, right? So Arius, when he was spreading his heresy all through Christendom, he would go to the wharfs and the various docks and the ports, and he would sit there and he would hum and sing these heretical songs so that the sailors and the dock workers would hear the songs, so that people coming and going through these ports would also hear and start humming and singing the songs. So it's the same thing. They've been doing this for the last 60 years and destroying our faith in the process. Well, as it turns out, the publishing companies that are involved with this horrible, horrible music are themselves promoting and supporting just the worst ideologies you could possibly imagine.
It kind of reminded me of Grima Wormtongue, who's just got us captive, right? We're just sort of like, we're like slaves here. We're under this slavery, this veil that's keeping us captive. And it's like we have to throw off the shackles, and we don't even know we don't even know what we're doing. We're paying for this, Michael. And that's the other scandal in this, is we're paying through the nose for this garbage.
Right. Well, I mean, as I mentioned with the ancient treasury of the church's beautiful music, it's in the public domain. You don't have to pay for that. It belongs to us. Now, somebody may put it into print and put it in a binder and put it in a book. Those are materials, and materials cost money. So somebody could rightly bind that material and sell it to us so that we can use it in our churches. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what they're doing with these hymnals, they're not just selling us the books. They're also then selling us licenses for the rights to use the music, and that's an annual fee. On top of the fact that they're also creating these other additional things that go along with it. So you get a package deal. Well, hey, if you'd like a sermon to go along with this kind of music, we can do that for you. Oh, we can also put together these training sessions, and you can broadcast the music, and you can do that for an extra fee. And it just starts nickel and diming various parishes, and you wind up with a parish that, they could have fixed a leaky pipe or a leaky roof, but instead, no, they've got to pay thousands of dollars for these licensing fees.
We need a Doge is what we need. Could you just imagine, like, if they stopped paying those fees, they might also be able to, say, rip out the green carpet, throw away and burn the felt banners, and then put a proper altar in. That would be, like, mind-blowingly awesome towards the salvation of souls. But instead, they're singing All Is Welcome, and it's just, it's really nauseating. And tell me more about the people behind the publication. Who are these people, and why do they seem to support causes that are contrary to Catholic Church teaching?
Well, let's start with GIA Publications. GIA was originally founded in 1941 as the Gregorian Institute of America. Its whole purpose was to train choir masters and to spread the beauty and the glory of Gregorian music and polyphony. That's why they existed. In 1965, after the Second Vatican Council, their sales plummeted. And for obvious reasons, things started to change. They were starting to experiment with the different kinds of music that they wanted to use in Mass, more in the vernacular, which GIA did not have in their publications. So in 1967, they started to really fail. And the company got sold to a guy named Ed Harris. Ed Harris purchased the company and then almost immediately, within the next year, changed the name from Gregorian Institute of America to GIA Publishers. And he changed all the music. He started incorporating Protestant hymns, and he started incorporating some music that had been published over in France. And, well, it turns out that this guy, Ed Harris, is not Christian. He's not Catholic. He's not Christian. He's Jewish. So you have somebody who is not Christian in charge of Catholic music, and now his son is running the company, a guy named Alec Harris. Alec is a part of a Reformed Jewish community. He's actually on the board of this Reformed Jewish Union, and that organization, under his leadership, has taken formal positions pushing abortion, pushing same-sex marriage, pushing transgenderism.
Wow.
And his hires, people working under him, are all of the same mindset. Well, in 2016, GIA teamed up with OCP, which is Oregon Catholic Press. It's the other big major publishing house for Catholic hymnals. They got together, and they now jointly own an entity called One License. It's a one-stop shop to go and get your license fee for whatever music, whether it's for GIA or OCP, and they've got a whole bunch of other hymnal publishing companies involved. So it's this one-stop shop. Well, they put a woman named Brenna Horn Cronin in charge of One License. Brenna Cronin she's a same-sex married lesbian. I think it was in 2016, maybe 2015, she sacrilegiously went up and received a sacred host in her hand to bring it back to somebody who was specifically denied Holy Communion by Cardinal George because he was openly a part of this entity called Aglow, which is a gay lesbian Catholic thing. He was denied communion by Cardinal George, and she saw that, and she said, you know what, I'm going to go up and get in the communion line again, receive the Holy Eucharist and the host, and then give communion to this man that was just denied communion. So she took it upon herself to circumvent the cardinal to provide a sacrilegious communion to this man that was denied communion before. She is the antithesis of everything that the church stands for, and she was in charge of One License. It gets worse. I mean, there's so much more.
Wow. It's wow. I guess I should say this. Lest anybody think I'm just being a rad trad. The USCCB has taken issue with some of the lyrics in these hymnals that they're way overpaying. Bishops have tried to, I guess, suppress some of it. Maybe they didn't go far enough. But it does seem like it's becoming a bigger problem that they are aware of, but maybe they lack the courage. Why aren't they just putting their foot down and saying this far and no further?
That's a good question. We could ask the same thing about the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, about Catholic Relief Services, and about just the USCCB's open and continuous support for USAID, which was created as a population control organization. They know all this. I've given them this information personally. Whenever I put out an article or a report, I email it to every bishop in the country. They know all this stuff. So why are they continuing to support it? Your guess is as good as mine. I think many of them are in the tank for it. They believe it. They want it. They desire it. And I think others are just playing along to get along, and they don't want to get Strickland.
They don't want to get Strickland. The Stricklanded. So, coming up after the break, we're going to be at a break here in a moment. I want to talk more about what we can do. But it really just boggles the mind that more Catholics don't see the banality just of the lyrics themselves. You also link in your article to Trent Horn, who does a pretty good job of giving plenty of examples of just how troubling the lyrics really are. Really quickly, can you just give me some of what would be the red flags we should be looking for?
Well, you mentioned All Are Welcome, which is published by OCP and GIA. It promotes an ambiguous community-centered theology that lacks any reference to conversion or the necessity of faith. You've got God is here as we his people, also OCP and GIA, and it uses vague language that obscures the reality of the Eucharistic sacrifice because they want to make it all about a meal. Speaking of meals, GIA has a song, Now in This Banquet, that prevents a theologically deficient understanding of the Eucharist, treating it primarily as a communal meal rather than the true presence of Christ. You've got, what was that song that you were singing earlier?
We might have just cut off Michael Hichborn. Hopefully we'll get him back on the line right after this quick 2-minute break. I want to get into what can you do about this? Is there anything you can do? We're going to be talking about that after the break, but come on. Why? We can just use the beautiful, rich tradition, history, and patrimony of Holy Mother Church. Why do we feel the need to get so progressive? It makes me sick. More of A Catholic Take is headed your way in just 2 minutes from now. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you today. We're having a conversation about hymns, the terrible hymns that so many Saint Suburbia parishes are singing these days. They're just so banal. And one of my cringiest ones that I remember from back in the day was, I guess it's called something about the lakeshore, I forget what the name is exactly, but something to do with the finding the Lord on the lakeshore. And it just, you have this vision, you're seeking Jesus, you're looking for him, praise be to God. And then guess what? You find him. That's a good thing. And then you leave and you go look for other seas. What? Why are we doing this? That always struck me as weird. Why are we singing that? And hymn after hymn after hymn being so banal and just wishy-washy. And not when you have I don't know, the rich patrimony, history, and tradition of Holy Mother Church. You've got hymns by St. Thomas Aquinas, for crying out loud. Just Google them. You could sing them. You don't have to pay a dime for it. But we're paying through the nose through these hymnals. We're trying to get Michael Hichborn back on the team, trying to get him on the hook again. Let's pray that the little demons that harassing us go away. In the name of Jesus, by his power, may he cast them out. Michael, are you back?
I am back.
Praise be to God. Just when they thought they could get rid of you. All right, so let's get into what can we do? Why can't we just stop paying the bill and just say, we're not doing that anymore? Why wouldn't they just do that?
Well, that we could do that. There's nothing stopping us from being able to do that. Very easily, a bishop or even a pastor could say, you know what, we're not going to use these hymnals anymore. We're done with this. Take all of the hymnals, heat the church with them, and then go. And then you just go and you find real hymnals with real Catholic music, such as the St. Michael hymnal. Or we have several of them listed on our website. We've got the St. Michael hymnal, the Adoremus hymnal. You've got Corpus Christi Watershed, which has all sorts of beautiful, high-quality sacred music that you could print out for your parish. So, and it doesn't come with licensing fees. It doesn't come with renewal fees or subscriptions or anything along those lines. You buy it once, and it's yours. So, there are different things that parishes can do. You can certainly access these beautiful hymnals. The question is, do the pastors have the intestinal fortitude to say, you know what, we're not going to try and sing a new church into being anymore. We're going to live the patrimony of our faith and follow what the deposit of glory that the treasury of the church has given us. And we're going to use that. We're going to dip into 2,000 years of rich history without having the last 60 years of banality beating our ears.
But let's just be honest. At the end of the day, we could go and we can complain to our pastors. We can write letters to our bishops and say, hey, these hymnals got to go. Let's save the money. Let's get the tradition back. But they want this stuff, don't they, Michael? They embrace all that this means.
Yes, they do. A couple of years ago, one of the organizations that I'm constantly researching is the Association of U.S. Catholic Priests. They're a bunch of disaffected heretics from the 1970s, throwbacks to the Call to Action Conference. And one of the hymns of the Call to Action Conference is Sing a New Church into Being. It's easy for us to laugh at it, but the fact of the matter is that this particular song is full of pernicious heresy. And the lyrics, I'm trying to pull up the lyrics so that I can, I don't know where it is anymore. I had it on my screen, but then I lost it. But the lyrics themselves, sing a new church into being. They're saying, we don't want the old church.
Right.
We don't want the traditions. We want this new thing that we're trying to build. In writing about the AUSCP, one of the things that I pointed to is a flyer that the AUSCP had written. And in the flyer, let me see if I can pull here it is. So in the flyer itself, it made reference to this theologian named Hartmeyer. And Hartmeyer was talking about the Second Vatican Council, and he hearkened back to the building of St. Peter's Basilica back in the 1500s. And here's what the flyer said. Theologian Hermann Pottmeyer views our Vatican II era as, quote, an unfinished building site similar to the building of St. Peter's Basilica during the 1500s. Again, this is the AUSCP flyer. Construction began with the laying of a foundation and erection of pillars and walls around the old Basilica of Constantine. That prepared the way for roof and dome to complete the new outer structure. That took decades. Meanwhile, the old church stayed in place, conditioning the progress of the new. Once the external structure was complete, the old basilica was removed. Similarly, Pottmeyer sees Vatican II as designing a new church to develop around the existing one. The Council's 16 documents laid a new foundation. 4 constitutions on liturgy, church, revelation, and church in the modern world are the new pillars. Consolidating and finishing a renewed church inside and out continues. Like St. Peter's and the works of previous councils, it's a work of centuries. And here's how it ends. Much remains to be done. We are all part of the renewal team. This divine project, building up the people of God for our era, is the challenge of our time. AUSCP's mission is to help us all respond to that challenge by working together as one. So you hear that description. That's precisely what the revolutionaries for the last 60 years have been trying to accomplish. This is why we have this terrible music, because they're building around the edifice of the old church so that they can pull the old church down once they complete building what it is the monstrosity that they're trying to make.
We've become the city of man rather than citizens of the city of God, and we've chosen this of our own volition, and it kills me that, again, I go back to what I said in the first segment about Grima Wormtongue. It's like we have been whispered to when we bought this lie, and we're now slaves and captives, and we don't even know it. We've got to throw off this funk, this shackles. We've got to choose God over this world, but too many Catholics aren't. And the devastation, again, we're beating like a dead horse here, right? For every one that comes in, 8 leave. How much more anecdotal evidence does one need before you have to come to the conclusion that every attempt to embrace this world for the past 6 decades is an utter failure? And perhaps we should go back to the things that actually worked.
Well, it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to draw in souls, well, then this is the definition of insanity, by trying to do the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. If your goal, however, is to destroy and undermine what the Catholic Church truly is, or who the Catholic Church truly is, and to replace the Catholic Church with something completely alien to whatever we actually believe, well, mission accomplished. That's exactly what they're doing. And I suspect that there are a good many people within the Catholic Church, through the music industry, through the social justice elements of the church, they are all working towards this new idea, this one world globalist church that has a very worldly mindset and not a spiritual end.
God will not be mocked. He has an opinion. You should know what that is. It's called divine revelation. And we're all going to be held accountable for what we have been given. And to those that have been given much, much is expected. I'm thinking of you, bishops. I'm thinking of you, cardinals, princes of the church. And I'm thinking of you, too, lay person. All of us are going to give an account for what we have done with this treasure found in a field. Let us get rid of these horrible hymnals and put off Grima Wormtongue. And let us go back to what is good, true, and beautiful. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning or on the Aftershow. God love you.
Download the app to take our programming with you wherever you go. Hear what listeners are saying about the regularly updated iCatholic Radio app.
The programs on iCatholic Radio are uplifting, educational, and have served to deepen my faith as a Catholic. Thank you for this amazing station.
Download the free iCatholic Radio app in your Android or Apple store today. Please consider giving us a 5-star review or telling a friend about it.
And we're back. Welcome to the Aftershow, everyone.
Jake, if we had to abrogate all hymns beyond a certain year, what year would that be?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm kind of inclined to say like somewhere around like 1900. Because there are some really like there are a few good ones, and there's some nicer modern ones. There's someone put text in the 80s to an old melody. Oh God Beyond All Praising. I like that one. That was actually written like in the 80s, I think.
Really?
I think that one's fine. That one's good. But it's an old melody. It's from Holst. But the words were written in the 80s, and I like that one. But there's some old hymns, and you're like, oh, it's a hymn in an old hymnal. It must be great. It's great. It's like it's very like sappy, like early 1900s equivalent of pop.
So it's not. It's just you're like, saying it's not that simple. It's not that simple. Dry.
Oh, it. Not only is it not that simple, we can go back to other eras of the church, and the church was condemning the fact that they were basically just singing opera in churches. They were abandoned. Chant has been abandoned by popular church music many times in the past. This isn't a 20th century phenomenon. Like
we just played that German lady doing her dystopian bit the other day.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying this has been happening since any other music existed. Palestrina, the beautiful Palestrina that you hear, you get a TLM, you're like, oh, the patrimony of the church, it's wonderful. Palestrina almost destroyed chant because his music and those like him were so popular that people wanted to hear that instead of chant. Like when the Vatican tried to get him to do more chant restoration, he didn't do a very good job of it. Like it wasn't because he meant poorly, but people loved his music and they replaced chant with it. This is an ongoing issue in the church over the years of having to constantly dredge chant back up from where it's been trodden into the mud and say, we got to bring this back, we got to restore it. Like it's an ongoing battle to fight our human ears wanting something new, something special, something different, instead of, the good, solid chant, which is the official music of the church. So it's hard to say. I wouldn't even want to draw a year to say that. I would just say we need to be strict with what we allow and what we don't allow. But we also need to make allowances for when something is good. Like I got to say, I like singing for all the saints, even though it's not exactly, written by a Catholic.
What?
So there's,
Stop.
there's We Three Kings. I quite like singing We Three Kings, even though it's not written by a Catholic. We still sing it every year on Epiphany. I like that one. So
Anthony over at Avoiding Babylon is hanging out again this morning. Gangster rap liturgy is the future, guys. Just accept it. Okay, no, sorry, Anthony. Okay, I will, however, take a Bone Thugs and Harmony version of the Mass. That would be like interesting, at least. But gangster rap's not even good rap. It's like terrible. So, like, if we're gonna have hip hop or rap, let's at least make it entertaining, and that would be Bone Thugs and Harmony, right? I think we can all agree to that. Anyway, gangster chant, he says.
Yeah, Alaric, bring flowers of the rarest. Like, we've sung it before because it's Queen of the Angels, Queen of the May, or whatever. But that's a really sappy, poppy for the time song, like written in 1871. That's not like a traditional hymn style of music. Like it's whenever we sing that, I'm like, I know, we've always sung it here in the May and whatever, but it's like, it's a very, very sappy piece of music. Like there, just because it's old doesn't mean it's good. All sin is old. All sin has been around for a long time too.
We've had Enoch on the team here, and Enoch will be the first to tell you that rap is not to be found at the liturgy.
Exactly.
So, there's a reason for that.
Big Bad Voodoo Daddy Mass.
Yeah.
Big Bad Voodoo Daddy Mass.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah.
Come on to the altar of God. The thing is gonna change.
I have complained about this in the past. I will complain about it again because that's what I do here. But every time I hear Gaudete, Gaudete, all I can think about is Captain Kirk fighting a lizard in the desert. That's the only vision that comes to mind. I know it's a trad song.
Gaudete came first.
I hate the setting. It's just it always reminds me of Star Trek. Exactly. Yeah, and there's little karate chops. It's like, what?
And
who choreographed this?
The styrofoam on the ends of the staffs as they're
That's
battling.
That's right. By the way, Sharon, good morning to you. Praise be to God. Thanks for being on the team today. Jane, good to see you here. Have we chosen? Why do you got to trigger us with Chosen? Chosen is a whole nother rant. Friends don't let friends watch Chosen. We don't vote for bishops, cardinals, or popes. That's true.
That's true.
T-Storm is in the house. Good morning. Says, if Hichborn states were the after show, would you consider asking him, if he stays for the after show, would you consider asking him if the Pew Missal by Ignatius Press is also part of this web of publishing blah, 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 blah?
As far as I know, it's not. I would have to go back and look at whether they're part of one license. In fact, I can look that up if you give me a few minutes. What was the name of it? Ignatius?
Ignatius. The Ignatius Press is all she said. So Ignatius Press, I guess, puts out a hymnal.
Okay, let me... Member publishers.
What could go wrong with a good Jesuit hymnal? Who knows?
Uh-huh.
That was rhetorical. Johnny boy, good morning to you. The song "Every Breath You Take" takes us about strings affair. What are we doing? After his love for his wife and jealousy, I don't even know where that's going. The song "Every Breath You Take" us about strings affair.
Stings.
Sting? Do you mean sting? Stings.
That's what he says.
I'm saying strings. He says stings. Sting's affair, his love for his wife. I'm lost. Like, what is going on with that?
Make grammar great again.
I'm bad already. Like, you're already doing not well with me, and then you add that. Helen Grace, good morning to you. Frank is on the team. Gather us in, the dark and the dusty. Gather us in. I hate that song. Truth, Life, and Fishing is back. Good morning. Go ahead.
The answer regarding the Pew Missal is that it is not a part of this mess.
Good.
So it is safe.
All right, Ignatius Press, we're going to let you have that one. Praise be to God. Truth, Life, and Fishing says, my mother played the church organ, and I always complained about the new stuff This was at the start of the 80s. Eagles Wings was awful. Dirges with a few standouts, but too few. How do we feel about Amazing Grace, Jake?
Well, it's, very Protestant. It's heretical. I love the melody because I'm a good Scotsman. But there's quite a nice setting of "The Lord is my shepherd" to that melody. That's nice, which is just a psalm. So that one's not offensive. But the text of Amazing Grace is explicitly pretty Protestant.
Heretical.
Yep.
Nicole, good morning to you. Jesus let me suffer with you. You read it, Joe. What did I read?
What did I read?
Nicole says, I read my song to my friend after Mass yesterday, and she said I should arise hymns. Then last night, we had a Lenten mission start last night, and Brother Tom used one of these songs to reflect on. So cringy. Good morning, Don Paddock. Mimi, good morning, Patty. Junior Barra, good morning to you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Sci-Fi is here, too. James 16997 from sunny Romania. Gus DMH is back. Good morning. It's a Tuesday. Praise be to God. Len Pine, happy feast day of Annunciation to you. Nick the Mic is here. Good morning to you. Ave. Guaguenza 61 says, Joe, you are thinking of Fisher of Men. I think the original of that one was in Spanish, probably created by the Liberation Theology folks. Yes, that is the one that I'm thinking about. Fisher.
Pescadores de Hombres.
Fishers or Fisher of
the English title is, I think, Lord,
Catholic.
When You Came to the Seashore.
Yeah, I thought so.
Or When I Came to the Seashore? I can't remember.
Somebody's going to the seashore, but then leaving. That's all I know. And it's the most, what?
I think it's supposed to be about the apostles and trying to be like the apostles. I think that's what it's supposed to be.
I shall find other seas.
I think that's what it's supposed to be.
Rise and follow me. I'll make you worthy.
You've already driven Sci-Fi.
Rise and follow me. I'll make you fishers of men. It doesn't even rhyme. You don't even rhyme. At the very least, rhyme. I don't know. I can't find the lyrics necessarily, but I just know it sticks in my brain. It bothers me so much. Jesse.
It sticks in my craw.
Exactly. Jesse, I've heard A Mighty Fortress played in Mass. I've also brought this example up as well in the past, and that is you have cringy hymns like this, like the ones we've been discussing, heretical, cringy hymns. But I've also seen choir directors go over the top with French horns and kettlebells and just full on orchestras too. That's also an abuse, is it not?
It depends. There are rules, and then there are certain exceptions to the rules that have been traditionally granted. I think every year there's a TLM, a Requiem Mass, where they actually use Mozart's Requiem music. There are exceptions granted to those rules that are generally supposed to be followed. For example, the old rules said no percussion instruments, and that always included piano, because piano is a percussion instrument. It's using hammers to hit the strings. It's a very loud, plunky instrument in that way. So there was more tolerance for certain instruments than others, and the church has always kind of been forgiving of allowing more grandeur on certain occasions and that sort of thing. When a Catholic monarch was being coronated, there would have been allowance for extra instruments and music and stuff like that at a normal Mass kind of is not fitting. It's there's no strict rule as far as that goes. As allowing trumpets or strings or things like that, but there were basic guidelines to follow.
I would
for sure.
only allow the string section of the orchestra personally.
Well, yeah, but you hate organs, so you're not qualified to.
The organ is a horrible
pontificate on church music.
Horrible, not meditative instrument.
Well, you've probably heard organ played poorly. That's the issue.
I've heard world class organists play the organ.
Well, yeah, often they play it loud.
It's like a Phantom of the Opera loud.
Well,
And
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
this-
So that
I am not being
that is not
elevated to the
that is
divine.
not all that organ can do.
It's just like it just pounds on you, and you're just like, please make it stop.
You have not heard good, quiet organ music. There's lots
Doesn't
of really
matter.
good, quiet, meditative organ music that you
Doesn't
clearly
matter.
haven't heard
Well,
if you think it's only a loud instrument.
I can appreciate Joe's.
Trust me, I would rather have no organ than bad organ. 100% of the time, I would rather have no organ than bad organ. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is that I can understand the sound of the organ to some may come across as the sound of the bagpipe to others.
No way, the
screechy and
bagpipe
horrible.
is God's instrument. First of all, let's just be clear here.
You see?
All right, what are our thoughts on accordions?
Hey, I love a good squeeze box.
I love
okay?
accordions.
They're fantastic instruments, the squeeze box, but not at mass, probably. Probably not.
Probably
for
not.
mass.
Well,
Exactly.
the thing is, you do realize why the organ is considered a sacred
Yes,
instrument.
it matches the voice. I've heard that.
Yes.
But as Holy
Well, it's the
Roman
same reason
Emperor,
why
I would
we-
ban it. I would ban it.
This
I
is
wouldn't allow
this is
it.
why you're not getting the votes, Joe. The organ lobby's too strong.
This is probably right.
The organ lobby's
The organ
too strong.
lobby
This is like
way
going up.
too strong.
This is like trying to get elected without an endorsement from our.
I don't know. I probably learned to duck and weave because the organ lobby may, I don't know, have a shooter on the building next door. I don't know. Johnny
OCP's
Boy.
looking out for you.
Janice is on the team. Janice, you are amazing. I don't care what they say. You're the best. Says, wait, bagpipes are the bomb? They are the bomb. 100%. Now, if I'm being honest, though, and please don't tell my kids I said this, I kind of like the Irish versions better. I don't know, just something cool about the Irish version of the bagpipe.
Traitor.
It's just kind of neat. I know, but I told you not to tell anybody that. Tradish Mom says accordion at the polka mass, chef's kiss.
There we go.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
Oh, yeah.
What's next?
I still
the
see
mariachi
I
mass?
still see. Oh no, I still see there's ads for
I've
polka
seen
masses.
mariachi masses.
I've seen
I
polka
know, I
masses.
have
I've never
too.
been to one,
Yeah.
but I've seen the ads for them. They're still happening.
They're still happening.
They're still happening
Oh, man.
in broad daylight. There are still polka masses
We're
happening.
triggering people here. It's great. Antonia Mary Swift says, I agree with you, Joe. From your lips to God's ears, Antonia Mary Swift. We should put that on the mug. I agree with you, Joe. I agree. Thank you. That's well said. But she also goes on to say the organ is distracting. 100%, it's distracting. A cello, a violin.
You're saying those aren't
beautiful
distracting?
instruments.
You're
No,
saying those
I'm
aren't
saying
distracting?
they're beautiful sounds that comfort the soul.
You're
and
saying
accompanied with good chant, it is like, oh.
Chant and strings together? No, absolutely not. Never. Not in a million years.
No, that doesn't
Absolutely
work.
not.
Doesn't
It does
work.
not work.
No.
Never.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Joe
Now I know
had-
where Jake's
you
buttons
realize,
are. I can
Jacob,
just press them.
So, Jake,
Yes.
Joe had to have the celebratory horns because one person agreed with him.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What? Stop it.
This is like those selective polls.
Antonia represents a whole conglomerate of people who agree, okay? She's just the voice. She's
Sure,
the public
sure.
side of that whole equation.
One voice is
Joe,
many.
you know the history of bagpipes, don't you?
Don't start that. Don't go there. You don't have to go there. It's totally
Do you
fine.
know the history of bagpipes?
Come on now.
And I'm not
Don't-
talking about the fact that they were torturing cats in order to scare off enemy soldiers, but in truth, the bagpipe goes back to ancient Rome. It was an instrument of terror.
Mm-hmm.
It was intended specifically to
think
drive
we
terror
use
into
them
the
at
hearts of the
battle?
enemies.
Yes, it does.
That's
Why we use
That's
them
why
for
I like
battle.
them. That's why I like. That's why I
But
like.
We
them.
want to
funerals to
terrorize
scare
the
off
demons,
demons.
Michael Hichborn.
Yeah.
We're trying to terrorize the demons out of mass. Go away. It's totally appropriate.
Joe
100%
and his
appropriate.
pipe and drum mass.
Hey, listen, I had bagpipes at my wedding, so there you go, folks. So
Well,
they
that
were
explains
at
a
a
lot.
mass. That explains everything. Deborah says, Joe, it's a Crescio retreat Spanish song originated from Latin America. Well, that explains a lot. Now, I've been to Crescio, but I promised never to go back. So that does explain some things. But the whole seashore song, like, good grief. MG, Joe.
She sells hymnals by the seashore.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
MG says, Joe, would you say that about the organ at St. Cecilia's? at St. Cecilia, the organ at St. Cecilia. The organ to St. Cecilia.
Right.
Well, it was one of my favorite moments when I was in Rome in 2023 was going to the tomb of St. Cecilia. That's an amazing story. If you've never listened to the audio drama that the Augustine Institute form.org put out on the story of St. Cecilia, you do yourself a favor and go listen to it. Let your family listen to it. It's beautiful and incredibly well produced. And it'll really acquaint you to the story of St. Cecilia. Now, would I say it to her? Yes, I would say it to her. And I think she would understand. The organ is not good for the soul.
I mean, the piano is worse.
That's the thing. The piano is a percussion instrument. It's not a
It's not a liturgical instrument at all. It's supposed to be. It actually is forbidden in the Mass.
Yes,
as is the guitar.
Under the old rules.
Then why do so many parishes have pianos?
Joe, why do so many parishes have heretical sermons? Like, come on.
It's a rebellion.
It's a rebellion. Exactly.
Yeah. As sci-fi. John Adams said in the fine film 1776, it's a rebellion. We've got to offend somebody.
Yes.
I could never get through that.
There's
so many.
Really?
There's so many blasphemies in that. I can't get through it. It's just like every other word is GD, and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I just can't.
They
get through
loved that phrase back in that day. They
man,
loved
oh man,
that word.
It's true because it's actually in the writings.
Yes, no, exactly. That they back in the day they loved that phrase.
Why? It's so bizarre,
because they were godless, Freemasons.
Yeah.
Our country was founded by godless Freemasons. Even the Catholic was a godless Freemason.
Says, didn't Beethoven use the ugliest chord to write one of the most beautiful songs?
What's the ugliest chord?
What would be the ugliest chord?
Yeah. And
James says harpsichord. That's a cool instrument.
I love the harpsichord. I know people who don't
like the harpsichord.
I know people who dislike it, and I love it. I think it's great. In context, it's a wonderful instrument.
Yeah,
but again, most
haunted houses,
most if not all instruments can be used in a very lovely way in the proper context by someone who's skilled with it.
Except for the organ.
But there are too many people that's not an excuse to use it during Mass. I'm quite a fan. Some people don't like it. I'm quite a fan of the saxophone when used properly in the proper context. At Mass, it would be entirely inappropriate. Completely inappropriate.
The saxophone is perfect in 80s songs.
Exactly. Or in modern songs that are copying retro 80s style.
I've heard saxophone in Mass too.
Oh no!
I'm sure you have. I wouldn't be.
Yeah, that was the one instrument I wanted to play. When I joined band in middle school, it's because I wanted to play the saxophone because it was the '80s and the sax was like,
yeah, exactly.
I remember when Bill Clinton played the sax. It was like such a big deal, and I wanted to play the sax. And I showed up, and the band teacher looked at my mouth and goes, "No, you'll play the cornet instead." I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm playing football. Forget this. I'm not playing no cornet. Good grief. Susan says, I confronted our organist about us singing a Lutheran hymn, and her reply was, well, it's in the hymnal. Mm-hmm. There's your sign.
Yep. Joe,
burn it.
Joe actually just refused to play the sax because they were trying to make him play the Anglo sax. It's like, there's no Celtic sax? I'm out of here.
So, back in the 90s, I came back from college and visited my parish for Mass one Sunday, and I came out of parish, and the organist, the music director, was very modernist type, and she was always out there greeting people the same way the priest was, as if she was co-equal to him. And I was just kind of trying to exit, and she goes to shake my hand, and I turned to her and I said, Rose, I'm really sorry to hear that the organ's broken. She goes, what are you talking about? The organ's not broken. I said, oh, you mean you chose to play the piano? You should have seen her heart looked like it just crushed.
That's great.
Oh, like that was an intentional choice?
You're so mean and rigid. Wow. Like, what?
Wow.
It's not very sonodal of you.
Hey, Rose, you can keep that knife. I'll need it later, but at least I'll know where it's at, so just keep it right there. Yeah. William F. Buckley, says William Jones, William F. Buckley Jr. played the harpsichord. I miss his sanity in conservative discourse. That's not surprising. What was that supposed to mean?
There's been rumors about William F. Buckley Jr.
What? Come on. Truth, Life, and Fishing says the church has taken the time to ban the piano in their services. That's productive use of divine power. Johnny Boy says, I love the sax and the clarinet. Hacker Bilk was brilliant. I don't know who that is, but good saxophone is always a good time, I suppose, just not at Mass.
I suppose.
The sax revolution of the 60s. What about Huey Lewis?
She just says Huey Lewis.
What about Huey Lewis?
Yeah.
Huey Lewis in the News. They used a lot of saxophones and trumpets in their song. Yeah.
I shared the stage with
so did
Huey Lewis
Chicago.
once.
Really?
It was a good time.
And his news?
And the news. Huey Lewis and the news. They were all there. I was there. We were all on the same stage at the same time. It was a great time. Praise be to God. I mean, I was there for
what was the
color
occasion?
guard. It was like they were doing a concert, and I was the color guard.
Nice.
So that was my 15 seconds of fame. Praise be to Jesus.
Yeah.
Chesty, Laura, all liberal boomer Karen. What? Are you talking about Rose, the pianist? Is that what we're referring to? Lost Creole, welcome back. Good morning to you. Helen Grace, good morning to you. KSW Benedictine Oblate, I miss Buckley too. We need more men like him. Do we?
Do we?
Mimi, good morning.
William F. Buckley, like, there's... I know people who love that show because he would bring people on and moderate, like, actual debates. And you know, and that's a good thing, but the problem with William F. Buckley Jr. And I don't blame people who miss like shows like Firing Line, where it's like, oh, we actually get to hear like two differing opinions clashing, and he's moderating it, and he'd be fighting with Gore Vidal or whoever, that, you know, all these guys, stuff like that, and that was entertaining. But the problem is that was kind of the he's the ancestor of what National Review is like now, where it's just, you know, there's this very kind of what's the right word? Almost it's just this brand of conservatism that doesn't actually do anything. It kind of just sits around and talks and laments how, you know, everything's bad. It doesn't actually go do anything useful. It just sits there and complains, and then even when someone comes along and does something useful, it complains about how that person's not good enough, so write off everything they're doing. Like his brand of conservatism that he, you know, helped kind of promote back in the day is kind of the ancestor of that. You know, as much as you can look back at that show and you're like, man, like how far we've fallen. But the thing is, like, you got that elsewhere too those days. You know, you could go on nightly talk shows, and instead of the late night stuff they have now, like there used to be a higher level of entertainment and discourse and conversation elsewhere as well. So it's more that his show is a product of the time.
You mean Johnny Carson?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yes, of course I mean Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson was great. No, but like Dick Cavett has some great interviews with people. He was really good at I've watched some old interviews of his. I think it was the Dean Martin show brought Orson Welles on, and they gave him 7 minutes to just on his own just put on makeup and talk about Shakespeare as he's putting on makeup to then give a soliloquy as Falstaff. And it's just, this is on late night TV in front of a studio audience. They just give him 10 minutes to do this, you know, by himself on stage. You would never see that on modern TV. So it's more that William F. Buckley's show is a product of that time when there was still, you know, some class and conversation happening, and less that, you know, like, oh, he is what made that time better. So it's I'm not a huge fan of him in that way, even though I do appreciate that old format of show and stuff like that, Firing Line and all that.
So Joe, I have an idea for how you can improve your show.
Oh, everybody else does too. Stand in line.
You need to start lounging like this,
okay,
and allow your guests to smoke cigarettes, and we can all talk in Boston, Harvard type accents, and we can have conversations about all kinds of
the Mid-Atlantic. What is it? Transatlantic accent, mid-Atlantic
Yeah,
accent.
transatlantic accent. Yeah.
Well, sound like Cary Grant.
Bishop Sheen. So the guitar mass, you find that's acceptable, do you? Yeah, why not?
If the Vatican says it's acceptable, it's
yeah. Who remembers that? That was awkward. That was cringy.
Forgive me. Soon, hopefully someday, blessed Fulton J. Sheen.
Yeah,
I still love you. I still love you.
Ora pro nobis. Poor fella.
That would be an improvement. Though. Like that's half the fun of going back and watching an old show like that. Is they're all lounging around smoking while they discuss this stuff. It's like great. Like come on, that is what we should have on TV more. Is shows like Firing Line with William F. Buckley Jr. But he kind of had this snobby conservatism that became the problem in the GOP in a lot of ways now. Unfortunately, even if he didn't mean that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. By the way, Damon says he played the alto saxophone. I didn't even know there was an alto saxophone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Alto,
Barry
sax, soprano sax.
Yep.
Okay. Well, there you go. So did, by the way, James says I played the tenor. So there's an alto, and now there's a tenor sax as well.
Baritone sax.
Everybody was playing the sax but me, apparently. I'm the only one not allowed to play the saxophone, I guess, is the rule.
They're all there's five of them. There's 5 kinds of sax. They're all down on Sax Fifth Avenue.
Okay. Well, the only thing I played was sax of chocolate-covered peanut M&Ms. And many sax did I play of that one. For sure. Too many.
I played the trumpet.
Did you?
I figured I could. Oh, yeah. For 7 years. I can't read a lick of music. Never could. But I was in a marching band. Figure that one out. How do you get into a marching band and not know how to read music?
But you did it all by ear then.
Absolutely.
That's my son. My son, John Paul, he has a natural talent to playing music. Like it amazes me how he can pick up songs. He hears them and he figures out how to play them. He plays the guitar. He plays the mandolin, the violin, flutes, various flutes. He can play the accordion. He can play. I mean, he just figures it out, and he's so natural at it. It drives me. I mean, I'm proud of him, but it drives me mad to see how he's got this unique ability to do that. However, forget it. I can't get past. I can't force my thumb and my fingers to do different things all at the same time. It just feels like a bridge too far for me. But some people
That's
are
why
great
I
like
chose
that.
the trumpet.
Too far? I see what you're doing there.
You see the bridge, the guitar.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah. Douglas says, I was in a local rock and roll band in my youth. There you go. Our good friend Mike Koniger from Virginia, he was also in a heavy metal rock band, if I'm not mistaken. Candlesticks, good morning. Says, doing what? Smoking pipe or playing instruments or both? Who's smoking what again exactly?
Good question.
I don't know. Douglas, again, good morning to you. Laura, good morning to you. Stephen S. is here. That is amazing, Joe. He has been blessed. Yeah. And actually, all of my kids have this musical talent. They sing well. They pick up songs by ear. They play piano and all these instruments. And they actually love playing together. Like they'll just we'll be driving home from mass and they'll break out into song and start singing. My problem is, and I get them in front of like relatives, right? Like I take them to see my grandparents. I'm like, okay, do that for them. And then they like freeze up and they all of a sudden they can't remember a song. I'm like, what? He's like, you're constantly singing and playing, but I get you in front of a relative and now all of a sudden you can't do it. Like that just drives me mad, but oh well. It is a good time though. Chesty, good morning.
My girls all seem to have inherited the musical, creative, artistic genes, and so far, none of my boys seem to have it.
No?
Do you think maybe any of them have it and just don't want to try, or have they all tried and just it's not been?
Well,
because sometimes it took a long time for the younger guys at my parish to get into chant, and then something I said helped flip the switch for them, and now I've got a good group of the boys who are really interested in learning it and joining the full school soon.
my eldest, God love him, couldn't carry a tune if it was put in a satchel and tied to a stick for him.
That sounds like me. What are you talking about?
He's also, I mean, the best he can do is a stick figure, and he struggles with that when it comes to art. But he's much more philosophically minded. He's very, very politically aware. He's finishing up his degree in political science, so he's got all of the left brain attributes and very few of the right brain. My 3 eldest girls, they are extremely artistically gifted. My eldest daughter is taking art classes. She draws beautifully. And she also plays the piano. My 2 daughters under her, they also draw, but they dance, they do gymnastics, they play the piano, both of them. They have really embraced a lot of the creative side of things. But and then my boys after them, well, they've still got some developing to do, so we'll see. But
well, they're still young. Who knows? I mean, my son didn't realize his musical capability until, I mean, they all like to play the piano and sing, but right before the COVID lockdowns, I decided I would buy a guitar. So that's what we did. And I bought this guitar and started to sort of give it myself as therapy, right? Like distract my mind. So I was teaching myself to play a little bit. And then he picked it up and he's like, oh, what is this? And then he just started playing all these songs. I'm like, how are you doing that? Stop that. No son should outdo his dad. And but he did. And then he just like took off. The fun part was when he taught himself to play violin. My sister-in-law bought my daughter a violin off of YouTube, which was like a pretty inexpensive one. And they tried it, but they like nobody could quite figure it out. It seemed like a foreign animal to them. And in the meantime, he had learned to play the mandolin very well. And then one day it clicked. The mandolin and the violin are the same. They tune the same, and the finger positionings are all the same. So he just applied mandolin to the violin. Then all of a sudden, he could play the violin, and he's great at it. He's really great at it. So I mean, and he's not like an expert or anything, but considering how quickly he picked it up, it's truly mind-boggling. I was looking for an example here when we were on our New York trip of them playing. Just it's so impressive to see kids be able to have that talent, and I try to foster that. I try to fan that flame as much as I possibly can with them. In fact, one of the things that we did was we did a jam session. We did a jam session over at hold on one second. We did a jam session. Can we put this on screen? I don't know if you can see this. I can hold on, let me take this down. At the parish. You see that?
Yeah,
this is Mass, right?
There's some noise gating on. It's
this was at a trad parish. We decided, forget Palestrina, forget Gregorian chant. Let's just do folk music instead. Okay, we did it in the basement, not at Mass, but after Mass, we all went into the basement at St. Stanislaus in Nashua, New Hampshire, and just did a big jam session. And it was such a great time. Father Rock even got in on the action, busted out Father Brancich got in on the action. It was such a good time. Yeah, it was so much fun to do. Then we went to Gettysburg, and we went to Pickett's Charge, and we played "Kill That Yankee Soldier."
Yeah,
which was a great.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a great.
On my back, my rifle on my shoulder.
David John, you're on the team.
March away
you're
to
amazing.
the firing line with William F. Buckley Jr. and I'll kill that Yankee soldier. That's what Pat Buchanan would have sung on the firing line.
Are those
Pat Buchanan?
blisters?
I love Pat Buchanan. That's my main reason why I understand why people love William F. Buckley Jr. But like I'm a Pat Buchanan guy. So.
Yep,
you're a Pat Buchanan guy.
Yeah, I'm a Pat Buchanan.
Oh boy, God rest his soul. Are you saying
he's still alive?
He's still alive.
What are you talking about?
He's
no, is he?
Yeah. But he's
sure?
not doing well. So people have been saying during this term.
Reported to die last year.
No, because they're making people are making a push to try and get Trump to give him the Congressional Medal of Freedom or whatever it is. before he passes away.
I thought Pat was dead. I'm sorry.
No, he's still around.
He's 86.
Poor Pat.
Yep.
Poor Pat. I thought he was dead. I honestly thought I heard that he died last year.
His health is not doing great right now, and he only just officially retired in 2023. He was still doing writing and stuff like that. So,
Eric Powell, yes, those are scars from digging. Yeah, we did a service project at the boys' camp out this weekend, and I didn't have gloves, and my hands paid the price.
Mm-hmm.
Been there.
Been there. Mimi says she voted for Pat Buchanan. No kidding.
Scar on my wrist.
Same here.
In construction. I don't know if you can see it.
Back it up. It's too dark.
I don't know. Probably can't pick it up on the camera. That's all right. But
yeah,
I know the feeling, Joe.
Yeah, and then yesterday,
we comparing scars, are we?
Yeah.
Well, let me show you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you see nothing yet? Watch this one. That's not a scar. I got a scar for you. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, praise be to God. Let's see here. Alberto,
Scar
good morning to you.
always come with Scottish accents.
Yes, exactly.
They do. Why is that? Your mother's been telling you stories about me again, eh?
You should see the other guy.
You should see the other one.
Exactly.
Babe Buchanan is a party girl. I'm not sure what that means.
Probably a granddaughter of Buchanan or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
like
everyone's kids are
a different kind of party girl.
Yep.
I like it. Don't say that. I don't want my kids to be embarrassing. Barry Goldwater, says Gregory. Yeah, Barry Goldwater. Janice, what a wonderful talent. I cannot wait until she completes. I'll be praying for her. She's talking to Laura. Who is Laura's? Janice, her coach is a Canadian. So I got to back up to find out what the conversation is with Laura to figure out. Love folk music, Laura says. Freestyle came third. Like, are you talking about one of your kids? I'm trying to back up to figure it out. Your special needs daughter got accepted into Paralympics for swimming. Oh, that's super cool. That's awesome.
That is really
Congratulations. That's amazing. Anthony says these kids have YouTube tutorials now, Joe. My kids don't have access to YouTube. We don't. The only time we watch a YouTube video for their music is if they're trying to learn a specific song. I might find a tutorial for them for that. A lot of times, what they do is they will. I have an application called Tabs. I think it's called Tabs, and we'll pull up a song that they want to learn, and it'll have the actual chord progression, and they will use that to learn songs off of. So they'll just teach themselves, and they'll listen to songs too. So we'll let them listen to someone playing that song or whatever. They'll just listen to it and they'll figure it out. He'll just sit there and figure it out. It's pretty amazing. And I absolutely love it when they play together as a family. And there's some really cool, there's a group called the Cotton Picking Kids.
Someone just recommended them earlier in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah. They're a Catholic family in northern Alabama. I don't know if they're trad Catholic or not. I don't know, but they are actually incredibly talented, and they have a huge following now. And all of the kids have been playing for many years, and they're really good. I highly encourage you to get them. I went and bought their album just so we can listen to them in the car. Would encourage you to check them out. And there's others too, sort of in that same category. These whole families that play. It's so inspirational, in my opinion. David John, she signed the dollar bills. Who signed the dollar bills?
Babe Buchanan. She was the treasurer of the United States in the early 1980s.
How does someone get that
By
job?
the way, she's not related to Pat Buchanan.
No?
Just want to clear that up.
Sci-Fi says my son Zach was very good at growing up to a piano and playing a song he heard. He of my children is least interested in playing music.
Nope.
That's too bad.
Babe Buchanan was the sister of Pat Buchanan.
She's the sister?
Sister of Pat Buchanan. Babe Buchanan, Angela Marie Babe Buchanan, conservative political commentator, served as Treasurer of the United States under Reagan, sister of conservative political commentator Pat Buchanan. I didn't know this. I didn't know he had a sister. But
I thought he was dead.
I was looking for a...
Uh-oh.
What do you know?
In 1976, she converted from Roman Catholicism to Mormonism.
Yeah.
Mormonism.
Shameful.
No salvation outside the church.
Yep.
Good luck with that.
That's why
Petersons.
Candlestick says she's a party girl, I guess.
By the way, John
Yeah,
Paul
but
Sandoval says he wants to shout at you, Michael Hichborn, from San Diego.
Why?
Oh, sorry. Shout out to you. Shout out.
Shout at you.
Context being key in that sentence. You know?
I really like the image of John Paul Sandoval going outside in San Diego and shouting at Michael Hichborn from San Diego. That was
probably
a great
makes
image.
him feel better, though. That's probably some sort of therapy.
Yeah,
is to shout at Michael Hichborn outside.
Yeah. You know,
Eric,
grammar saves lives.
Yeah.
You can have,
it does.
Give it. Yeah. It's
let's
commas.
Let's eat, comma, grandma.
Yeah.
Or let's eat grandma.
Yeah, exactly.
Comma. And with a side of, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Eric Powell says, I unsubscribe from most of my YouTube, sticking to Christian stuff and carpentry. Love it.
Good.
Praise be to God.
Yeah.
You don't have to subscribe to any channel anymore. That's not the way YouTube works. YouTube doesn't need you to subscribe at all. They just
show you
whatever you most watch is what they're going to show you, no matter what it, whether you're subscribed.
Yeah, the
or not
algorithm.
anymore.
The
really
algorithm
kind of
overrides subscriptions. Yeah, subscriptions are just for the YouTube owners, so that they can boost their visibility, and that's the only thing that it does.
Well, it does have another function. In fact, while I'm thinking about it, make sure to go to Lepanto Institute's YouTube channel and subscribe. Praise be to God. There are two main uses of the subscription. Number one, it's a vanity number. The higher it is, the cooler you look, right? But that's just vanity. But number two, I mean, that does help me, to be honest with you. Having more subscribers means guests that I ask to come on the show are more likely to say yes, because they think they're going to get a bigger platform or audience, you know, for their cause or whatever. So they may say yes because of that subscriber count. So it is helpful to me to have subscribers. But the second way, and this is really the most important thing that is to subscriber count, is YouTube is a casino. They are the house. They will not make a bad bet. So when you publish a video on YouTube, they give you used to be 24 hours. Now it's not. Now it's only a couple of hours, actually. So you publish a video and they begin to look at how quickly people respond to that video. What they do is they start with a test sample of your subscriber base. They look at about 30% maximum, sometimes less, of your subscribers. So no matter how many, you might have 1 million, doesn't matter. They're going to go with a small sample of your overall subscriber base. And the sample that they're going to choose is the most likely to react to your content the fastest based on previous behavior. So they show your video that you just published only to about 30% of your subscriber base. And what I mean by that is on the browse. Like you open up YouTube and you start thumb scrolling, that's where that is shown. You can always go to your subscriptions and see it there, but nobody does that. They're all just thumb scrolling the home tab. So they're going to show it to about 30% of the overall number of subscribers and see how quickly they react to that content. If they click very quick, then they may open it up to a greater number of your subscriber base. So the more subscribers you have, the bigger your test sample, the more likely you are to perpetuate the machine of the algorithm. So it does have a practical use, but from a viewer's perspective, doesn't matter at all. You can watch all kinds of content on YouTube, and you likely do, that you're never subscribed to, and they're always just going to show it to you because they know that's what you will react to. They're the casino. They're going to deliver what they think you want to click on most, which annoys me to no end, because if I'm doing research on a particular topic, YouTube interprets that as that's all I want to see, and that's all they'll show me. So I have to kind of intentionally go and watch different content just so I don't get inundated constantly with the same type of how to, do brain surgery or how to, rebuild your transmission or whatever. It's like, good grief.
All I get is sandwich videos now.
I bet you do. Joe.
Sandwich videos.
Joe, we need to get your subscribers up. Make this a must stop for Caviezel with Resurrection movie comes out. Boy, from your lips to God's ears, low key. I don't see it happening, but okay. It would be nice, wouldn't it? I'd love to talk to Caviezel. I'd love to talk to Mel Gibson too. That'd be amazing. But you'd have to be somebody cool to do that, and I'm pretty sure I'm not on that list. What was this about Marty Hagen? MG says the list includes such songs as "All Are Welcome" by Marty Hagen, or is it Haugen? Hagen? Hagen. God Has Chosen Me by Bernadette Farrell, Led by the Spirit by Bob Hurd, and Table of Plenty by Dan Shute.
That list of names is like the Avengers of horrible hymns. All those writers.
Yep.
I was thinking more of those. What was that? What was that anime cartoon? Rangers Unite or whatever. I forget how that goes.
I think Power Rangers.
Power Rangers
was live action.
Was it?
Or are you thinking of Captain
anime?
Planet?
I don't know.
Captain Planet with the power of synodality.
When they all join together into one big mech robot or something.
I should call my friend.
Gundam. Oh, Voltron.
Voltron. Thank you.
Classic.
Yes.
Never could understand, says Lost Creole, why I got so many documentaries on Nazi Germany. Well, now you know. Once you've watched something,
you watch one, they'll show you every single other one on YouTube.
Every single one.
Yep.
Douglas says, get Father Ripperger. Father Ripperger won't come on. I've asked him 3 and 4 times. I am apparently not his kind. So why? I don't know. I've never bashed Father Ripperger.
I feel like he just kind of only goes on places where like he knows someone or knows someone who knows someone. Like I feel like that's his MO.
I don't know. I've asked several times. I've asked at least 3 times minimum, and I've been told no. Stop asking every time. So.
Oh, okay.
Stop asking?
Well, no, I'm embellishing all of that. No. They just
Joe,
said no.
I hate
they
you.
just said no, thank you.
I would never go on your show. I don't know why he doesn't want to come on my show.
I don't know. Like, please get the memo. You suck. We hate you. Leave us alone. Like, no, he didn't say any of those things.
No,
Don't.
We're not slandering.
Let's not argue about who killed who.
Who killed who.
I'd get him on. I'd have him any day of the week. If he called me today, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. But I am not cool enough to be on the list, I guess. Same thing with who's the monk out of Colorado again? Father Red Rose Rescue.
Father Nix.
Thank you. Same thing with him. I've invited. I'm not on the cool list. Carlos Martins. I've had Father Carlos Martins on a number of times. I've known Father Carlos Martins going back to 2012. I've spent a ton of time with him. I like Father Carlos Martins. He is on the down low right now because he is being obedient, and he was told to remain out of the public eye during the process of going through the procedure out of Joliet, Illinois, because he dared to pull a loose hair off of the shoulder off a young girl to make a point during a talk he was giving on the relics. That was considered assault, and so he's going through the process. I suspect he'll be cleared and it'll all go back. But the real issue is, like, even if he's cleared, will he ever tour again with the relics? Probably not. Which is a tragedy. He was the greatest steward of relics outside of the Vatican in the world.
Maybe they'll let him tour, but no more events like that. And they'll, you can tour and maybe give a homily, that sort of thing, but no more talks.
Yeah,
groups.
and then
we'll see.
And a lot of Catholics came after him for his exorcist work, claiming that he didn't have authority, and he does. He did have authority to do exorcism work.
Yeah, people stuck up for him.
So I'd be happy to have him on again. I've reached out to him. I told him whenever he is available, free to do, I would love to have him on. In fact, he sent me a stack of his books, the Exorcist Files, to give away, and I'm holding on to them until we get past all of this, so that I will give them away. John Paul, as I said, I'd love to get Father Dave Nix. Call him for me. Tell him to be on. Tell him to be on. I'd love to have him on.
I'll call him for you. Yeah. I'll call him for you. Yeah, I know him. I've known him for a long time.
Yeah. Well, put in a good word for me. And then call Jim Caviezel and put in a good word for me there, too. That'd be great to get Jim Caviezel on.
Jimmy's a lot harder to get a hold of.
You have his number. Stop it. Don't be so immodest.
Well, I've got him on speed dial, but...
I bet you do. You probably talk every day. By the way, he's big into motorcycles. Jim
Is he
Caviezel.
really?
Yeah, he likes fast crotch rockets, as they say.
Yeah.
He's getting a little bit too old for that. Johnny Boy, it's sad. It's a sad day that people cancel people over stupid things. I would agree. I would agree with that. Yep. Sci-Fi, tell me why I shouldn't come back to me, because forgive me, I love it. What are you talking about?
Come back. He's talking about a hymn that I guess we might want to ban. I don't know. He says he likes it. Come back to me, Hosea.
I've never heard of that one. I don't know that one.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
that's the current papal anthem.
Is it? Don't cry for me, Argentina. Yikes!
John Paul Sandoval, stop shouting at poor Michael Hichborn.
What are you doing?
he keeps shouting out Michael Hichborn. He's a big fan, apparently. Stop shouting at him. He didn't do anything.
Bruce City too. Assault. This is like general spanking with no blood, no scarring, no welts. Is child abuse today. I guess all Gen X were abused as children.
Exactly.
We kind of were. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. With you.
Psychological abuse from divorce and stuff is different from good old-fashioned spanking. That's different.
I may or may not have told my kids just the other day, back in my day, my dad used a leather belt.
Yeah.
I had welts on the backside for crying out loud. Like, nobody uses
you know what the big
anymore.
issue is I will say, now, I don't have kids yet, so all you actual parents can come at me anytime. But the punishment,
come at me, bro.
The punishment should be dependent on the kid, because kids have different personalities and temperaments. There are some kids.
Yep.
There are some kids who, if you spank them, like, they'll remember that and be, borderline traumatized from that. And there are other kids who probably just need to be spanked more or less every day until they get their butt in gear. Like, I've heard a priest talk about the temperaments, and he says, just beat the phlegmatics. Like, just beat the phlegmatics.
Hey, we're going to be talking about temperaments.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great segue. We're talking about the temperaments tomorrow on the show.
Good. There we go.
Yeah,
there's a teaser for tomorrow.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Yikes.
Flagellate the phlegmatics. No, but then there's also my 1-year-old who we spanked for the first time. He just won. We spanked him for the first time, I think, about a month ago. And he turned and he looked at my wife and he laughed.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Yeah, see?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I got to tell you.
Some of them need the soap in the mouth instead. I got that when I was a kid.
with him, he reached for something. He kept reaching for something, and I was fed up. Finally, I smacked him on the hand. Just good, sharp smack.
Yeah,
and he turns and he goes,
oh, he's upset about that one?
And then he runs off.
Okay.
It's like, he started with the lower lip and he swallowed it and he was like, no, this is fun.
Yes. No, I will never show them I'm weak.
See, this is what's actually going to get us all canceled, is talking about child abuse.
We should do a whole show just on discipline.
Yeah, because some people, some kids, you do not. I got to
tell you, my wife and I, our oldest, we adopted him, and we jumped straight into the deep end of the parenting pool, and we just tried to ignore the blood and the swirling sharks, and we were trying to figure out how to parent, right? And he would do, because of the abuse that he suffered when he was a toddler, he was a difficult case. Let's just say that. And so I was trying to figure out how to discipline him, because his behaviors were really difficult. And I we would try all kinds of different things, and I spanked him, and it would have zero effect. No matter what we tried, we gave him red hot, like those habanero peppers once. Like, it had nothing we did mattered. And I just was, for the longest time, I remember having a conversation with Dr. Ray Garendi at a bar in Corpus Christi, Texas one time. Talked to him about, like, hey, I don't know what to do here. And he said to me, he said, Joe, he says, when your son gets out of prison, he's going to be a good guy. I'm just like, whoa, it's over. Like, there's nothing you can do.
I love Dr. Ray.
He's like, he's going to be fine.
Gosh.
He's going to be fine. As soon as he gets out of jail, he's going to be.
He's the kind of kid.
Yeah.
You stick the bar of soap in his mouth, and what does he do? He just bites off a piece and he starts shooting you right in the eye. And he was like,
yes.
Like
and
Popeye.
I got to tell you, and it did scare me in all seriousness, because what I realized was I could beat this kid half to death every time and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And therefore I decided I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it would.
Well, if it's useless, then it's useless. Like, yeah, if it's not going to change his behavior, then all you're going to do is make him resent you, as opposed to,
Exactly.
Like so.
So we had to go through the Dr. Ray Garendi method of blackouts. In fact, I remember when he met Dr. Ray Garendi, because in those days I was hiring Dr. Ray Garendi for conferences and such. And I remember when first time he met him, we're like, hey, this is the guy who invented the blackout. He just gave him this ugly look. Just like, I hate you. Or I loathe you. Because we would strip his room down to nothing, So it's like, oh, you want privileges? No problem. Learn to behave, And then that was that.
Yep.
But it was really hard in those days.
I'll bet.
In those early days. But now it's like, now we have 6 and our youngest is 9. My oldest, the one that I was talking about, is married with children. And my youngest is 9, still in the house. So the youngest, we're like, hey, buddy, eat all the sugar you want, play with knives, run in traffic. I don't care. Leave me alone. And then the rest is, as they say, history.
Yeah.
So your oldest is already out of prison then?
Yeah. Praise God. Praise be to God. Yeah. Yvonne says those types of kids have to have discipline that works the mind instead of pain. Yeah, that was the lesson we had to learn. And we learned it the hard way, if I'm being honest. Mimi says, I said in the store to my grandson, I will buy a wooden spoon right now and smack you with it. That's great. A black guy came around from around a black guy came from around up and fist bumped me. That's great.
That's old school.
That's great. Oh boy, yeah. Who can we get? I don't want to get Rocky.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who can we get to talk about parenting and discipline? Who would be a good guest for that?
Any parent. Ask any parent, and they will have opinions. You may disagree with them, but they'll have opinions on parenting.
Any grandparent. Sci-Fi says, I can still feel the wooden spoon. I got it once. After that, all my mom had to do was slam it on the counter. The nonsense was over. 9
I was a
still in the
toddler.
house. Go ahead.
When I was a toddler, my mother went to spank me, and I knew that she was going to spank me, so I stuck a cap gun in my pants. And so she gave me a good wallop and came down hard on that cap gun and broke blood vessels in her hands, and she still reminds me of it.
I'll bet she does. That's pretty bad.
MG says, instead of spanking, what about writing out lines 50 times, such as "I will behave and respect and kind"? We did that too. We tried that. We have reams of papers of lines that our children have written because of that.
Michael, that's an old gag from like Little Rascals, our gang, where like one of the kids sticks like a piece of plaster down his pants, so when his aunt or whatever tries to spank him, she like smacks her hand, and like that's literally a 100-year-old gag. That's great.
Willow Tree Switch.
There you go.
David John, David John's on the team today. Thank you, David. Praise be to God. iCatholicMobile.com. Good sponsors of our show. Check them out. iCatholicMobile.com. Says, my mom still has a bunch. She broke on our butts in her drawer in the kitchen.
Probably wooden spoons.
He says, I'm 62. Not sure why she keeps them. Let's be honest, David. We all know why she keeps them. Okay, pal? I can still to this day remember my dad's leather belt, though. It was a belt that had holes. So it was like they had punched a bunch of holes throughout the whole belt. It was like a row on top and a row on bottom. But those same holes were lined with metal rings.
Yeah, little rivets, little grommets.
Yeah, kind of.
They're called grommets.
And I had the welts. Okay. I had the welts, boy. Man.
I thought you were Scottish, not Welsh.
Maybe. I don't know.
Welts.
After the beating, I don't remember, to be honest with you. But yeah, boy. Eric Powell says,
he beat the Scottish right out of you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll beat the Scots out of him.
I'll beat the Scots right out of you. I'll beat you so hard you're going to land in Wales.
Yeah, you'll be speaking Welsh.
Gesundheit. All right. Hey, guys. God bless. Thanks for hanging out. Michael, always fun. Thanks for the laugh. Appreciate you. Yep. I do not appreciate all the disgusting hymns that you brought into our minds today. That now we're going to have to spend the rest of the day getting them out of there. But tomorrow on the show, Mental Bleach. Tomorrow we are going to be talking about the temperaments. We have an author on the team from, I think, I don't know. I'll get it wrong if I try to guess. So I will just tell you tomorrow morning. But we're talking about temperaments. My kids love temperaments. I, however, hate them. So it should be a fun show. So we'll see you there. God bless you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like and share. God bless you. God love you. See you there.